I know the particular guy that's standing in the background, which his name is Dan Flynn. So these boys are a part of Flynn Silver. Flynn Silver, I don't know if you've heard of them, they've made goblets for the Queen, the Vatican, the Grand Prix. They're quite renowned silversmiths. I've known Dan Flynn for a few years and I wanted to paint him for the Archibald. So when I approached him, he said, Rose, I really want my brother because we're a part of the Flynn Silver. And I said, oh, God, all right, I don't know John, but... So I decided to paint two portraits, one of Dan and one of John and Dan together. But unfortunately we had a house fire, so this particular portrait was never ever finished. So the only one that was actually completed was the one of Dan, and luckily it got into the Archibald. So that was the first year I ever started competing. So years had gone by and I actually, unfinished, put this on the racks. So that had remained on the racks for many a year. And then I just couldn't quite get rid of it, or I couldn't quite let it go. And then I was painting another well-known artist that lived in our area called Daniel Butterworth, that was in the Archibald last year and has been in the Moran as well, which we first actually met 8 years ago. And I said, oh, look, I have a couple of portraits. Can you have a look and see if it's got that factor, that wow factor, or should I just paint over it or turf it? Anyway, brings it out, and Dan Flynn said, that painting, finish it off, Rose, and enter it in something. So fate actually played a role in the reason why this is hung today. So it would have been just left on the racks, finished it off about 3 weeks or 4 weeks ago, and here it is in the Moran today. Yes, so I'm very tactile. I use my hands quite a lot. I lived in East Arnhem Land for a few years, and while I was there I was quite fascinated with the way that they would put ceremonial paint over the children or the dancers, and that ceremonial paint would accentuate all the muscles and all the muscle tone and the facial structure. So when I first started painting I decided to literally get the paint on my hands and mould the facial structures, the tones, and obviously detailing in the eye. So from that day on, which was probably about 20 years ago, all of my paintings now I use my fingers. So I literally smear the paint on my hands and rub it and bring all of this beautiful texture through. Then I'll get the palette knife. Everything is very tactile. And the thing about working with oil on paper, you cannot rub it out. So what you see is what you get. There's no rubbing, there's no putting over. It's very raw and very loose. Well, when you look on the internet, if you just sort of browse through, even myself, when I look at a painting on a screen, it doesn't evoke what you'll get when you have a look at it in this life. What you see here, this painting, and probably many other paintings, don't look what they look like on a screen or even in a book. It flattens the image, it makes it a two-dimensional. You really need to see these works in life, because what I might see in life is so different from what you see on the screen, and you have a different it evokes different emotions when you see something like this in life. Well, of course, being a finalist and being chosen from 1,300 paintings, I mean, what a great honour. To me, that's a win, really. It's great to see people like Lynn that I actually know, that's never painted a portrait. It gives inspiration and hope to young artists or people that fear actually painting. I remember when we were in a life drawing group, and we said, how about we all paint for the Archibald? And we all said, oh no, I'm not ready for this. Oh no, I can't do it. Oh no, I'm not good enough. Anyway, we all entered. We call ourselves the Three Musketeers in this little life drawing group, stuck in the country somewhere. And then in that year, I got into the Refusee and the Doug Moran. That was my very first year. And then, as years gone by, for their 30th anniversary, here I am again. What's next? I'll still do portraiture, because that's something that I love and connect to. Even as a little girl, I would always paint faces. But I'm doing an exhibition with Daniel Butterworth, and that will be a whole series of our youth, and it will be the loss of innocence. Could be confronting, but anyway, What's a happy portrait?